I decided to go abroad for further studies. I was sure my grandmother would be upset. I would be away for 5 years, and at her age one could never tell. But my grandmother could. She was not even sentimental. She came to leave me at the railway station but did not talk or show any emotion. Her lips moved in prayer, her mind was lost in prayer, her fingers were busy telling the beads of rosary. Silently, she kissed my forehead, and when I left, I cherished the moist imprint as perhaps the last sign of physical contact between us. When Arthur further grew up and he decided to go for further study to abroad, then Arthur thought perhaps grandmother would be no more there. Perhaps grandmother may die because she was very old. She was as old as that she could not grow more older than that. Dear students, as you know, that after the old age there is death. That is the fact, that is the reality of life. So Arthur thought that if he will go to abroad for 5 years, maybe when he will return back, maybe at that time, grandmother may be not alive. But grandmother was strong enough. She was still alive. She was not even upset when she comes to know that Arthur was going to abroad. She went to see him off to the railway station. She didn't show any emotion. She didn't show any weakness. She kept on reciting her prayers and telling her beads. Although she kissed him on his forehead, at that time, Arthur thought that perhaps this was the last physical contact between them. Perhaps when he will return back, grandmother may be not there. But no, dear students, grandmother was there. Grandmother was strong enough to wait Arthur to come back to his own home. So when he returned back after the 5 years, grandmother was there to receive him on the railway station once again. In the evening, a change came over her. She did not pray. She collected the women of the neighborhood, got an old drum and started to sing. For several hours, she thumped the sagging skins of the dilapidated drum and sang of the homecoming of warriors. But in the evening, there comes change in her behavior. We see that in the evening time, she, instead of praying the God, collects all the neighborhood women and starts singing song. She brings the old drum and then starts beating the drum and singing the songs of homecoming warrior. Dear student, for grandmother, her grandson's returning back from abroad after 5 years was like a homecoming warrior. In the kingdom's time, in the king's time, whenever there used to be battles between the two kingdoms, at that time, whenever the soldier used to go for the fight, for the battle, when they used to return back after that battle, after winning that battle, then people used to sing songs in their praise. Those songs, those homecoming warrior songs, grandmother also was singing for her grandson. We had to persuade her to stop to avoid overstraining. That was the first time since I had known her that she did not pray. The next morning she was taken ill. It was a mild fever and the doctor told us that it would go. But my grandmother thought differently. She told us that her end was near. Although the family member protested, they wanted to talk to her. But grandmother, she thought something differently. As she now wanted to pray to God because for the very first time she has omitted the prayer. Now she does not want to waste the time in talking to them. She just wanted to be relaxed. She just wanted to lay down in her bed and then pray to the God. So she did the same thing. She ignored the protests of the family members. She lay peacefully in her bed. We protested, but she ignored our protests. She lay peacefully in bed praying and telling her beads. Even before we could suspect, her lips stopped moving and the rosary fell from her lifeless fingers. A peaceful pallor spread on her face and we knew that she was dead. We lifted her off the bed and, as customary, laid her on the ground and covered her with a red shroud. After a few hours of mourning, we left her alone to make arrangements for her funeral. In the evening, we went to her room with a crude stretcher to take her to be cremated. The sun was setting and had lit her room and veranda with a blaze of golden light. We stopped halfway in the courtyard, all over the veranda and in her room, right up to where she lay dead and stiff wrapped in the red shroud. Thousands of sparrows sat scattered on the floor. There was no chirping. We felt sorry for the birds, and my mother fetched some bread for them. She broke it into little crumbs, the way my grandmother used to, and threw it to them. The sparrows took no notice of the bread. When we carried my grandmother's corpse off, they flew away quietly. Next morning, the sweeper swept the breadcrumbs into the dustbin. Author and other family member has to persuade her, has to forcibly stop her by overstraining. She could exhaust herself. And dear student, the same thing happened. In the next morning, when she got up, she was ill. She was taken ill. Although it was a mild fever, when the doctor was called, doctor told all the family members that it was just a mild fever and after the medicine she will recover soon. But grandmother thought something different. Grandmother had come to know that now it was her last time. Although all the family members protested, they wanted to talk to her, but this time, as she has come to know that it was her last time of the life, so she did not want to waste the time in talking to the people. She just wanted to pray because she has omitted her prayer. Only she does not want to waste the time in talking to them. She just wanted to be relaxed. She just wanted to lay down in her bed and then pray to the God. So she did the same thing. She ignored the protests of the family members. She lay peacefully in her bed and started praying, telling her beads. And even before anyone in the house could suspect, she died peacefully. The beads of rosary fell down from her hands. Her lips stopped moving. She died very peacefully. There was a pallor of peace spread over her face. All the family members lifted her from the bed, as it is the custom, dear student, that in Hindu religion, dead body is put on the ground. So the grandmother's dead body was also put on the ground and she was covered with the red shroud. After a few hours mourning, all the family members has to go to another room to make the arrangements for her cremation. And when they returned back, they were amazed, they were surprised to see that thousands of sparrows have collected near the dead body of grandmother. Author's mother thought that perhaps they have come for the breadcrumbs. She brought the bread and then she threw those breadcrumbs to the sparrows. But sparrows hardly bothered, hardly noticed them. Sparrows went away, flew away silently when author's grandmother's dead body was taken away from there. And the next day, sweeper has to clean those breadcrumbs. Dear students, the sparrows have not come for the breadcrumbs, rather they have come to express their sorrow.